Hi friends, I'm Gio, writer, narrator, and co-pilot was my wingman. In part 3 of Backpack Boy, Yuli traveled to Rwanda to help Philip, who's battling malaria. It's a story of care, identity, and quiet resilience. And now, part 4. Let's begin. November 5th. I'm 8,300 miles away from Denver. From home, from family. My name is Ulysses Timothy Henderson Morton, Yuli to everyone. I survived the foster system, and today I'm an art major, French minor, at Denver University. The Mortons were my 11th family, and they adopted me despite my problems. I have these episodes, memories that trap me. My therapists call it abandonment trauma and complex PTSD. Zickers, my best friend, calls them my freakouts. Cliff, my brother, doubts I'll ever live a normal life. Philip was his college roommate. We grew close. Not boyfriend close, though I wish it were, but something deeper. We call it soul buddy. Corny, right? We coined the term when I was 16. The dawn crested the hills of Kigali, Rwanda, a silvery white light that didn't promise rebirth. It threatened hope. That light slipped through the window, brushing the still form of the man I loved, but never told. We were on the second floor of the university teaching hospital, recently relocated to the Masaka district of Kigali. I'd traveled 8,300 miles to get here. From Denver. I don't have a lot. Just what I carry in my backpack. Former foster children had trouble trusting. My backpack stayed next to my feet, a comfort that kept me sane through 11 foster families, 11 schools, and college. It held all I needed: clothes, a towel, a National Geographic article about the stunner Santorini, my journal, my sketchbook, my colored pencils, and my only photo of my parents, a yellowed newspaper clipping of their car accident. And snacks, licorice, gummy worms, and Snickers candy bars. The man lying near death in front of me was Philip Kessel, the former roommate of my adopted brother, Cliff Morton. He'd been the first person to treat me with kindness 4 years ago. I fell in love with his tenderness then, and we've grown close. If my timing is correct, don't trust me because I'm stuck between Denver time and Rwandan time. Philip had been here for 36 hours before I got here. Maybe a little more. I'd arrived late last night. The night nurse, Beatha, let me sleep next to Philip. She didn't have much choice. Philip held my hand with the strength of a Sherman tank and didn't relax until he had fallen asleep. Though I laid down next to Philip's bed, the floor cool but not cold, I didn't sleep. My mind replayed the trip. Denver, Amsterdam, Istanbul, Kigali. 25 hours with layovers. Sterile white with pale blue privacy curtains dividing the sections. Had 4 beds. 2 on the left side of the door, 2 on the right, and a door that led into a small restroom that had a shower and a toilet and a sink. Philip's bed rested beside the window. The window was open a few inches, letting in a breeze of rain-kissed air. The drizzle had stopped, giving way to the morning sun and wind. The hills around Kigali sparkled with the fresh moisture, smelling of new growth and car exhaust. The room smelled of lemon cleaner, antiseptic, and coffee. I had read about malaria, seen pictures of what it can do, imagined the worst case scenario, and I still wanted to cry when I first saw Philip. What had happened to the robust, fun-loving man I remembered? Pale, almost lifeless, sweaty. He hadn't eaten for a week, and it showed. His collarbones protruded, the veins on his neck stood out in blue lines, his arms had thinned. Not in a good way, but like a vacuum had sucked the muscles off the bones. The bony cheeks scared me, but nothing like the bone-ridden feet. His body wasn't just fighting for fuel, but water. Dehydration. He didn't eat, didn't drink, barely moved. Each bed had a monitor, as well as equipment I couldn't identify. Philip's diagnostics read, blood pressure, 120/80, pulse, 75, oxygen, 95%, temperature, 38.3 centigrade, 101 Fahrenheit, still too warm, but better than last night. The day nurse, wearing a light blue and white uniform, brought in a tray with 5 mismatched coffee mugs. "Good morning, Yuli. Amakuru. How is our Philip?" She spoke with an accent hinting of French and something African, her smile warm and practiced. "I am Mama Nina, your nurse for today. Do not fret." She said that word as if she were proud of it. "Beatha told me all about you. Your arms must be tired from such a long flight." She laughed. "An American joke. You like?" I nodded. As she set the tray on a table, she walked to Philip, adjusting the blanket about him. Little American boy always kicking the blanket off. "Tisk, tisk, do not worry, mon ami. Mama Nina will take care of you." I took a cup and sipped it. An unfamiliar taste. "Cardamom coffee, for the liver," Mama Nina cackled. "Or so my grandmama told me. Every morning of her life, God bless her soul, she'd drink it and say, 'Good for the liver and whatever else is wrong.' Don't know if she was right, but she lived to 94, that she did, and could spot an ant crawling on the floor without squinting, or pluck the feathers off a chicken faster than the girls." The coffee lightly steamed, the aroma waking a part of me still sleeping, full-bodied, bitter, tasting of Africa and dreams. In the dawn's light, Philip looked even worse than he had the night before. Dark eyes hollow and sunken, his gaunt face ashen and lightly flushed with fever. His breath was raspy and thick, his body slowly wasting away from a week without food, the muscles slack with fatigue, the skin drawn tight over bone. Malaria ravages the body with deadly fevers, caustic chills, devastating delirium, and can cause multiple organ failures. Philip had survived the worst of it. They'd flown him out of Uganda after coming out to being a gay man in a fever delirium. In Uganda, being gay is punishable by imprisonment, conversion therapy, and deportation, sometimes death. The embassy had seen Philip safely flown to Kigali, Rwanda. The rest was up to us. Since Cliff, my brother, hadn't arrived at the hospital, it was up to me. Art, sketching, shaping clay, was my anchor. It steadied the tremors of complex PTSD and abandonment trauma. Normal stuff for foster kids bounced around from home to home. I pulled out my sketchbook and pencils and began sketching Philip lying in his bed. About 30 minutes in, 2 women entered carrying a container of porridge, a bucket, and folded cloths. When they saw me, they nodded. I greeted them in French. "Salut." "Bonjour," the older one replied. The younger one said, "Hello, you are American?" Then glancing quickly away added, "We are usually the only ones here at this hour." "I'm from Denver. That's near the Rocky Mountains in America," I replied, unsure how to introduce Philip. Considering the legal complications, best keep it simple. "I'm Yuli, and this is Philip, my friend." "It's good to meet you, Yuli. We are here to care for my father," the younger woman said. "His name is Damba, and he was hurt in an electrical accident." They went directly to the bed opposite Philip's. A middle-aged man lay there, the husband and father to the women that had arrived. And they spoke quietly with him in Kinyarwanda, the most commonly spoken language in Kigali. The man had heavy bandages about both hands and his left arm. Electrical burns, I assumed. They got water from the bathroom, wet a washcloth, and proceeded to clean the man, his hair, and his beard. He protested, in Kinyarwanda. The way the woman laughed. I'm sure he swore, but they ignored him. Won't the nurses do that? I asked. The mother took the washcloth from the daughter as she checked the containers they had brought. The daughter responded, Families always care for those in hospital. Is it not that way in America? No, I replied, flipping to a new page in my sketchbook. They're often on their own, except for a few visitors. We looked at each other, and once again the daughter spoke. We bring food and we bring clean clothes. We brought sosoma with igitoki kiyumye for breakfast. What's that? She looked away. Sosoma is a porridge made from sorghum, soya, and maize, with a little honey. We eat it with slices of dried bananas. She put a little in a small bowl and placed a couple banana chips on top. For Philip, it will give him strength. I pulled the towel from my backpack, wet a corner of it in the bathroom, and proceeded to clean the sweat off Philip, at least from the waist up. His ribs poked through. Philip woke. I dressed him in the extra clothes I brought, then fed him the odd porridge. Yuli, he mumbled, his voice hoarse from the fever. I'm here. Don't talk. Just eat. Warm, filling, tasting of natural food free of fake additives and colors. The real flavors. I filled a cup with water from the sink in the bathroom and helped Philip sit up and sip. The daughter spoon-fed Damba, laughing when it dribbled down his beard, while the mother folded the dirty clothes and tucked them into a bag to be washed later. With Philip watching, I began sketching Damba. The man had a lined, leathery face from working long hours in the sun, intelligent eyes that held a quiet humility. Traditionally, a man was supposed to be the strong one in the family, but now he needed help from his family to survive. For much of my life, I believed family was a lie. Looking at them now, family is a bond, more than blood-related, but a relationship forged through trial and love, like what Philip and I shared. Soul buddies. I want to go to college in America, to Harvard, the daughter said. I dream of being an astronaut and flying to the moon. The mother hid her mouth behind a hand to hide a smile and said, Kuki utamurangora. The daughter stared directly at her mother and replied, Mama, stop it. I do not want a husband. I want to go into space. The mother said something else in Kinyarwanda. The daughter nearly shouted, Mama! What? I asked. The daughter turned away from her mom, her mouth pinching closed. Mama thinks that you should marry me and take me to America. I tried not to roll my eyes. Can't help you. You'll need somebody rich for that. Philip moaned. I set the sketchbook down and placed a hand on his. Still too warm. I left my hand there, hoping the simple touch would lend him strength. Philip gripped my hand before drifting into sleep. At least he'd eaten half the porridge. You'd think the worry would let up, but it didn't. I split a Snickers bar with the mother and daughter, and they laughed. They told me about the accident that had burned Damba. I told them about Philip being flown in from Uganda with malaria, how I had just arrived from the United States last night. I became Uile, the artist American. I finished the sketch of Damba and gave it to them. For my new friends, I said, with a smile and nod. For you in return, they gave me some dried mango slices. Maybe I can handle things on my own. Maybe my years as a foster kid taught me not just to survive, but to understand the people around me. Could I leave the fear behind? Perhaps. But before I did a deep dive into myself, Philip had to come first. He had to get whole. He had to get well. After Damba's family left, Philip dozed. I did something weird. I took out my Axe Phoenix deodorant and applied it to Philip. Had I ever been so embarrassed? Guys don't put deodorant on other guys. Was I crossing the line? Good thing he was asleep. Still, deodorant always made me feel human, gave me permission to be around other people. Just like keeping emergency cash tucked into my right shoe gave me confidence. Maybe it would help Philip feel better? I tucked the white blanket about him, carefully keeping his feet covered as well as his arms. Once again, his breathing hissed a little loud, raspy and dry. What had Philip gotten himself into? And how was I supposed to get him onto a plane? I chuckled, remembering the airport fiasco. Was that only yesterday? I'd beeped the metal detectors, not because of a weapon, but because of the safety pin securing my emergency cash in my underwear. Yes, I was paranoid. I had emergency cash in my shoe and in my underwear. The guys at the airport wanted me, found the metal pin, and stared like I'd lost all my bananas when I pulled the pin out and the folded bills. They confiscated the pin. One of them, trying not to laugh, pulled up hidden money belt on Amazon and showed me options. I was cleared to board after that. Later, in Amsterdam, I found a belt with a secret pocket in a duty-free shop while waiting for the next flight. My new purchase. My new armor. Cliff finally wandered into the sick room and blinked at me. When did you get here? Been here all night. Philip woke when I arrived, and again this morning, just long enough for me to feed him. Mama Nina brought coffee. Where have you been? I thought it was more important to check in at the hotel, he said, shrugging. Told the moto driver to take me there. Good thing, too. Our embassy liaison was waiting. Said if we need anything, we should call. Trust Cliff to be the logical one. Still, that kind of disappointed me. He'd known Philip longer. They were college roommates, after all. Yet Cliff went to the hotel first? I nudged my backpack with my toe. Have backpack, will travel. Sometimes it felt like I was the only sane person in the world. But I didn't say that out loud. Why didn't you call me? I asked, finally sipping my lukewarm coffee. Cardamom, sweet, floral, unfamiliar, but I could get used to it. Better than the European coffee Zicker swore by. Death by coffee. Twice the bitterness, twice the caffeine, and tasted like axle grease. Well, duh, Cliff said. We're in Africa. You think our phones work? Here? I unplugged mine from the wall, displayed my universal adapter, and called him on his phone, right here in front of him. It rang. Cliff silenced his phone and rolled his eyes. I didn't try very hard to stop smiling. Global roaming plan. Got it so I could call Philip when he first moved overseas. Just to prove a point, and still gloating just a little bit, I dialed Mom's phone. There were a couple of extra clicks. Then Mom's voice echoed, crisp and clear. She spoke loud, as if she had to shout all the way from Denver. Yuli, are you in Africa? Did you find Philip? Mama Nina had walked in, carrying a tray of medication. She shushed me. Remember, people need quiet to heal. Mom must have heard because she quieted down. How is Philip? Is that your mama? Mama Nina said. Tell her our little American boy is very ill. Doctor says Plasmodium falciparum, a very bad case of malaria, is very bad. But we take good care of him and make him strong. He eat a little? I pointed to the bowl of half-eaten porridge. Damba's family gave us something called sosoma. Good. You give it to him every day. Make him strong so he can go home and kiss his mama. Mama Nina walked over and took Philip's pulse, sniffing lightly before smiling. He smelled like American boy now. Inwardly, I chuckled. I wasn't sure whether to laugh or cry. Cliff gave me that look. Half amusement, half, what did you do? Keep it down, Mom. There's other sick people here. I hear you just fine, I said, gently patting Philip's hand. Let me see if he's up. Philip, Cliff is here and Mom is on the phone. And it is time to take your pills. Mama Nina brought over a cup with 5 pills in it. Philip roused, groaning. I helped him sit. His whole body was warm. And, God, he felt so light. How much weight can a person lose in only a week? Cliff remained at the foot of the bed. I put the phone on speaker. Just a second, Mom. Philip is taking his medication. Cliff is here. And Philip's nurse, Mama Nina. This is Mom. Her name's Janice. Salut, Janice. It is 8 o'clock on this very beautiful morning, Mama Nina replied. We have rain all night long, but the sun has chased the clouds away. You need not worry. I will take care of your boys. Philip took his pills. Cliff muttered something under his breath. I handed Philip a cup of water. The younger one, Yui Lei, he come here last night. He make a fine nurse some day, sitting all night and taking care of his brother. I teach him how to make sosoma soon, maybe stewed chicken, and he feed the broth to Philip. Cliff looked at me and soundlessly mouthed, Yui Lei? Philip, how are you feeling? Mom asked, her voice an act of forced cheerfulness. We've been worried. Are you okay? Philip's eyes had glazed over. He stared at his hands, flexing one slowly, almost painfully. I ignored Cliff and Mom, for now. Philip, say hi, I said. Philip focused on the phone, then glanced about the room. His eyes narrowed slightly, hair rumpled and sweaty. Hi, Mrs. Morton. Yuli, Cliff, what are you doing in Uganda? Where am I? His voice was faint. What day is it? Mama Nina ordered. In a hoarse voice, Philip stated, April 30th? It's all hazy. Mom inhaled. It's May 6th. Mama Nina, though the monitor registered temperature, whipped out a thermometer and placed it in Philip's mouth. She placed a hand on his forehead and counted to 10. May 6th? Philip echoed. A week? Mom's phone clicked. Dad, Chantel, and Teresa are with me. Mama Nina laughed. I feel like I am on Oprah Winfrey's show. Do not worry. Yuile is taking care of his big brothers. Older one is very quiet. Maybe I bring him coffee too. Maybe he not sleep. Philip needs much rest. Body is still fighting malaria. Should not have been moved. Might add week to healing time. Mama Nina must take care of other patients, but I will come back later. Yuile go to market and ask for sosoma porridge. I help you make it later. 15 minutes later, Philip had fallen asleep. Cliff and I took motos to the hotel where I showered, washed Philip's clothes, and slept until noon. Jet lag. The bill always comes due. Cliff's suitcase still hadn't shown up. All we had were my clothes, and Cliff was at least 2 sizes bigger than me. He couldn't wear them. We walked down the stairs to street level and wandered the narrow streets. The buzzing hums of hundreds of motos passed us. Kigali must have as many cell phones as we did back home. But though everyone chattered, we barely heard them. Not silence, but respectful conversation. This wasn't Denver. A cool drizzle started. Many people carried umbrellas. Some ducked into shelters. Others, like us, just ignored it. We'd come during Rwanda's rainy season. On again, off again sunshine can be expected. The air, wet and muggy, smelled of moto exhaust and fried spices. A nearby eatery had signs in 3 languages. The one in English read, "Golden Sky Table, number 1 matoke." We needed food, so we entered. Everyone stared at us, and then went back to their food. An older lady approached. I started with French. "Matoke?" She smiled, one tooth missing, and said something I couldn't catch. In 10 minutes, she returned with 2 steaming bowls and 4 sizzling skewers of meat. "Matoke," she said, pointing at the bowls, each a soft mashed lump wrapped in broad leaves, with a small dish of dipping sauce beside it. Then she gestured at the skewers. "Ehene, made fresh today." I gave her what I hoped was a fair amount. She smiled and said, "Mercy." Cliff became quiet, picking at the skewer but not tasting, and finally whispered, "It looks disgusting. What is an ehene?" I took a bite of the skewered meat. Unusual. A tomato-based sauce, some kind of spicy oil, smoky paprika, cumin, garlic. My phone translated, "Grilled goat on a stick marinated with Rwandan spices." "You're going to eat it?" Cliff looked at me, eyes widening. One thing I learned as a foster kid. Sometimes you can't be picky. "It's good, really spicy. Do you want yours?" I took a couple selfies of Cliff and me, the phone in my right hand, a skewer of ehene in my left, and Cliff nervously looking at the bowl. Cliff didn't try the goat, but unwrapped the large leaves of the other dish. "It's like a banana and a potato had a baby," Cliff muttered. "What is this thing?" Once again, my phone translated, "Matoke, a banana-like fruit that must be cooked to be edible, staple of Rwanda, often served with a peanut sauce." "Guess it's like a plantain?" Cliff said. He sniffed the bowl. Cliff sampled the dishes but didn't really eat. I had to alternate, a bite or 2 of ehene with a couple bites of matoke to cool down my mouth. Compared to the spicy ehene, matoke had a flat flavor, reminding me of plain mashed rice. It was good, though. I ate mine, and I ate Cliff's. Later that afternoon, I returned to Philip's room with a bundle of his cleaned, though slightly damp clothes. I laid them out to dry. Mama Nina showed me the kitchens and how to make the porridge, and we sweetened it with a little honey. Philip stirred. I helped him sit and eat, then helped him to the bathroom and back to bed. Somebody once said weak as a kitten. They'd be weightlifters compared to Philip. Each step stretched 2 inches. He had to lean on me the entire way and return to bed out of breath. The man with the TV's family had arrived bearing a container of runny stew and a thermos filled with hot tea. They wiped him down, tending a scar near his stomach. Appendix, maybe? Hernia? Though we said hello, they spoke in Kinyarwanda, and we didn't speak again. Cliff never showed. I tried calling, but he never answered. Philip drowsed for a couple of hours. I texted Mom and Dad, even Zickers, my best friend. Emailed Dr. Bennett, and let her know where I was and why. She's my professor of ceramics back at Denver University. She sent back a complete set of requirements for the final project because I would miss finals. Even sent me a counselor's email address to contact so I don't tank my grades. I sent the email immediately. Then I emailed an update to my boss back at Chevron Copyprint. He didn't like it when I told him about the emergency. Liked it even less when I emailed him from Amsterdam. I would be seriously surprised if I still had a job when I returned to the States. But I wouldn't regret it. I wouldn't regret helping Philip. I'm still waiting to hear back from my boss. Damba's family had shown me the mats the hospital used for families that wanted to sleep over. Many people did, especially those who traveled long distances. Cliff could keep the hotel. I had my backpack and my towel. A couple shops sold clothes. I'd be fine. I'd stay here, close to Philip, in case he needed anything. It irked me. Philip and Cliff had been best friends, roommates in college, still talked, or had before Philip's phone was stolen. Why had Cliff traveled 8,300 miles and only visited Philip once? True, he coordinated with the hotel, the embassy, probably the university teaching hospital, and I assumed with Dad about finances. But he should be here, with Philip. Maybe a kernel of guilt grew in my heart. If I had known Philip was hurting, was in need, I would have come sooner. I should have come sooner. But where? Philip could have been anywhere in Uganda. I spread the mat beside him, spread the blanket on top of it. I'd use my backpack as a pillow. I wasn't the only person sleeping here tonight. Damba's wife slept near him, and some guy sat with the guy with the TV. Beatha came in about 8 to deliver medicine. "How is our patient?" she said, taking his pulse and feeling his forehead. "He ate some sosoma for dinner." "Good. Get him to drink. A lot. Coffee, water. Add more water to the sosoma. The boy needs fluids, and a lot of them. You stay the night?" I nodded. "I'm taking care of him." "I bring you clean towels and another blanket. I say a prayer for him to Mother Mary. She likes to sit with the sick. You want I tell the father to stop by?" "We're not Catholic," I said. With a smile that showed more love than I had ever seen, she looked at me and said, "You think that matters?" After Beatha returned with the towels and the blanket, my phone rang. Zickers, my best friend. It clicked twice before the line connected. "Hey," I said, "you're on speaker." "How's Philip?" "Asleep. He looks like someone put him in a dehydrator and left him," I said. "At least he's sort of getting better," Zickers said. "I rescued your latest vase from the kiln room and ran into Dr. Bennett. She said to call her when you get back." "And the vase?" "Vase turned out nice. It's on my desk waiting for you." "Thanks. I'll buy you a burger when I get back. But it looks like I'll be here a while." Zickers paused. He clucked his tongue before he replied, "You know how I've been working with Charlene about setting up a Facebook page about her pregnancy updates? She posted the news about Philip, asked for everyone's prayers. Surprising how many people have visited. They wished him well. I can send you the link if you'd like." "Do that. He's probably met a lot of people." "Couple notables," Zickers said. "Nick Harris ring any bells?" "No." He and his husband worked with Philip on hurricane relief in Haiti. They want to know if there is anything they can do. "Old friends from the World Aid and Health Society? That's not so weird," I said. "The next one is a little weirder," Zickers said. "An aide from Senator Morrison's office called. I guess the senator is part of the Ashbourne Society. You know, the people that run the World Aid and Health Society? And he wants to know if Philip needs anything. Your dad's handling that one. Doesn't the Ashbourne Society run the NGO Philip's working with? I said, glancing at Philip. Breathing heavy, but he still was asleep. You think it's damage control? Yep, Zicker said. They're making sure there's no political fallout staining the USA's rep. Both of those seem normal compared to the really weird contact. Charlene called me about half an hour ago. I told your dad. Now I'm telling you. What is so weird? Out of reflex, I took Philip's hand. Still too warm. According to the monitor, his temperature hadn't changed. Philip contracted malaria, had to be emergency evacuated because he's gay, and is recuperating in Rwanda. Another day at Disneyland. Vickers chuckled, then paused as if debating. Philip's mom left a message. Read it, I said. Another pause. Zickers cleared his throat. I am Philip's mother, Rowena Kessel, and I'm hoping he's well enough to read this. I know it's been 5 years, and I should have reached out before this. I always assumed we would have time. But you could have died. I regret how things ended. You know how your father is, especially about money. I want you to know that I am very proud of you and what you've done with your life. Your father is too, but he's a man of old values, and he doesn't forgive easily. I want you back in our lives, and I'm sure if you beg for forgiveness, your father will come around. Please contact me. Your family misses you. You don't know this, but your sister has had 2 babies. You're an uncle. I would have told you sooner, but we had no way of contacting you. With all my love, Mom. Confused, I asked the only question that came to mind. It's Charlene's baby page. How did Mrs. Kessel know about it? Goofy luck, maybe? I told her not to, but Charlene kept it public, Zicker said. None of us have any idea how this Rowena person could have found out. When your mom asked Teresa only shrugged and admitted she never knew Philip's last name. Philip must have a stalker. Spooky. Should I tell him? Or wait until he can talk again? I asked. I could imagine Zicker shrugging. In a mechanical voice, he replied, Danger, Will Robinson, danger, danger. The people on the other side of the room stared at me. I stared at the phone. I don't get it. Never mind. Tell Philip I said hi. I've got to get to work. Planet Zicker signing off. The line ended. I closed my eyes and endured the chuckle. You had to know Zickers, and even then he didn't always make sense. I gotta go to the bathroom, Philip mowed. Had he heard the conversation? Would it matter if he did? Deal with it later. I shoved my phone into my pocket and helped Philip stand. We staggered to the bathroom. When he was done, we sat on his bed. I spoon-fed him cold sosoma, and he drank lukewarm water and sucked on dried mango slices. Philip's eyes peeked out from closeted shadows, distant, his mind far away. His hair hung straight and stringy, his skin pale and fevered. I'm scared, Philip said. It was so soft, almost louder than a whisper, but it was his eyes that haunted me, bloodshot, riven with despair. A loss flowed through them that echoed the ache of my past. The scared foster kid, always in terror of being abandoned, again and again, forgotten, like he didn't matter, like he would be thrown away. The spiral that led to an episode. I can't afford one right now, not here in Kigali. Philip needs me. I took a deep breath, called Dad, straight to voicemail. He must be at work or asleep. Somehow, I have to get through this. Myself. 5 things I see. The half-eaten bowl of sosoma porridge. Philip's shrunken shoulders, the way defeat lay etched in his face, his skinny knees, the way his eyes teared but did not cry. You're safe. My mantra that kept me sane. Now Philip's salvation. I helped him lie down, then lay beside him, cradling his too warm body until he fell asleep. You're not alone, I whispered, afraid that if I let go, Philip would let go too and be a corpse by morning. I laid my head on his shoulder, feeling his heartbeat, steady, faint. Where was Cliff? Beatha checked on us, her pale blue and white nurse's uniform crinkled from long use. She frowned, not at me lying beside Philip, but how warm his hand felt. She touched his forehead, glanced at the monitor, then placed a thermometer in his mouth as she took his pulse. A slow count to 10. Her brow wrinkled. As she left, she turned back for a moment and looked at me. Could she see the panic in my brain? Her smile seemed sad. Her mouth flickered into a smile, then faded just as quickly. Those soft, kind eyes blinked back the wetness, and she wiped beneath her left eye with the back of her hand. Her lips parted, about to speak. But she paused, gave a slight shake of her head, and let the silence settle. Beatha walked out, her steps slow. My soul hollow, I shivered and held on to Philip as hard as I could. We're safe. Somehow I'll make sure of that. Thank you for joining me, everyone. Part 4 of Backpack Boy was tender, tense, and quietly transformative. As Philip heals and secrets stir, Yuli's devotion deepens, and the question of who stays and who truly sees becomes everything. I'm grateful to share this journey with you. Stay tuned for Part 5. Until then, be gentle with your heart. I'm Gio. I'm glad you're with me. I love you all. Peace, my friends.